I've got a question. Who am I? We can go back and look at the ancient philosophy of Socrates, who went around asking, "Who are you?" to everybody, and ended up being executed by the state for it. Who am I? What am I? Where does that come from? Who are you? How do you know what you are? Well, a lot of people, millions of them, figured that who they were is best defined and figured out by submitting a genetic test to 23andMe. They want to find out who they are, where they came from. And while there's that matter of curiosity towards who they are and what they came from, well, 23andMe just declared bankruptcy. And they're moving into bankruptcy protection, and the single greatest asset that they have to sell is the personal data, the information on everybody who went and submitted their tissue samples so that they could get a genetic breakdown of who they are. Now, understanding this data is really valuable. Why is it? Because there are stereotypes that are at work, and these stereotypes have some genetic basis to it. You have a genetic marker that says you're likely to get breast cancer. Well, the health companies want to find out about that. You are now going to be having a heck of a lot more for insurance. You have a genetic marker that says, hey, you are prone to schizophrenia. Well, there are a lot of companies out there, employers, especially these big corporations, who will pay a lot of money in order to obtain that information. You have a genetic marker that is identified as, hey, this person can become a psychopath or a sociopath, antisocial personality disorder under the DSM-5. Yeah, companies will pay money for that because they look at that and say, hey, if we invest on this, we can save money in the future by avoiding this loss. Well, this 23andMe, all these people who submitted their information are now going to have that information up to sale to the highest bidder in a bankruptcy court, because this is an asset. This is crucial. This is important. You know, 25 years ago, I did a paper on this in a medical ethics class that I was taking, and thought, what about the right to privacy with medical information? See, and the issue with it is it's not just, let's say my mother took one of these genetic tests. Guess what? There is a hell of a lot that these data miners can find out about me simply on the basis of what my mother has told, or maybe my sister, maybe my son or my daughter will give one of these things. Do you know what mitochondrial DNA does? That goes from mother to child, and it passes through, and the father has nothing to do with it. There's a lot of stuff you can find out about these things. This bankruptcy action by 23andMe is going to be a big, big deal. Might not seem like it, but 10 years, 20 years, 40 years. What goes on with this thing can have some implications with regard to the future. This genetic data is it is a gold mine. And that is what the creditors want. The bankruptcy court, and I have no idea what the bankruptcy court's going to do, how it's going to do it. I have no idea what the appellate court is going to find, because there will be appeals. May go up to the Supreme Court in the event that the Supreme Court grants certiorari on it. Who knows? But that bankruptcy court is going to have to balance between the interests of the creditors. The creditors are going to want their money back. And that money is in that data that these people went ahead and said, go ahead, here is the very core about what I am. Here is my data, here's my information. The most personal, identifiable information down at its base that you can get. Or they may look at it and say, well, that stuff is too private. You're not going to have access to it. When people are curious about where they came from, they end up forgetting who they are. We aren't where we came from. We aren't where we were born. We aren't that. We are ourselves individuals, and where we came from, what our background is, what our genetics are, where these, okay, that plays a role, but that's a genotype. We have a phenotype, and I am not my father. I am not my mother. I am not my ancestors. I am me, and you are you, and those are your choices regardless of what it is. You want to take your background, and you want to look at your background and say, oh, I'm Irish. Well, what do Irish go? Well, yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at the Irish stereotype. Are you that stereotype? Let's say you're Portuguese. Let's say you're Nigerian. Let's say you are a Hutu or a Tutsi. This genetic information, the very core constituents about who you are, the basic code of what you are. Millions of people have willingly given that up to the interests of some private business. And now it is going to be open. I can't say that the end of this is going to be good. Not for you. I can't say it's going to be good for your children. I can't say it's going to be good for your grandchildren or your nephews or your nieces or your siblings. Because once this stuff gets there, let's say your child goes out and looks for a job. Say, oh, we found this particular genetic marker that lists you as particularly susceptible to antisocial personality disorder. You have screwed your kid. But it's valuable. It's valuable. When people end up having their curiosity to find out where they are and where they came from, they end up losing track of who they are and where they are right now. I hope that there is something that is done to protect the privacy of these people. But in the event that there isn't, these are people who waived it. They said, forget about my privacy. I want to find out. I'm too curious. Oh, okay, great. I'm 1.2% Norwegian. Maybe we can look at Elizabeth Warren. Hey, she's 1/2000% Indian. I guess those high cheeks had some basis. We got to start looking out for yourself. Not what you are, not where you came from, not any of these. You start looking out for who you are. And you're an individual. And it's nobody else's business to say where you came from or where you are going. That is yours and yours alone. Prove me wrong, I reserve the right to change my mind.